Hey everybody. Welcome to not the nightlife, nightlife adjacent. Welcome to a vampire related stream. I am here with Katie, our spectacular producer for the nightlife, and neonate. It's fine. We've all been there. So we're going to do a little something different tonight. Because I'm a big dumb meanie face and couldn't do the nightlife episode 3 tonight because I'm in San Diego. So instead, what we're going to do is Katie and I are actually going to build out one of the SPCs that you guys are going to get to meet later on in the season. So yeah, we're all prepared with our vampire books. We're ready to go. I'm very excited to kind of go through this process with you guys. Building a vampire is a lot more complicated than it really has any right to be. I know they're ancient creatures, but it's a big honkin' book. So we're going to try and make it easy for you and walk through the process step by step so that we can all kind of know what we're doing and you guys can make your own cool vampires. Sound good, Katie?
That sounds perfect for me.
Wonderful. Anything else we need to get out of the way before we get started?
I don't think so. I think we can just jump right into it.
Let's do it then. So, if you have your fantastic Vampire the Masquerade book sitting right in front of you right now, it's going to be easiest for you to follow along if you're on page 136, 137. It's the character creation summary, so it's going to walk you through all of the big steps that you need to take to build out your vampire. Now, the easiest place to start is to think about what you want to make. Really, in the world of darkness, there are so many different ways to build out a vampire to be anything that you want to be, that it seems really silly not to start with a concept. So, Katie, did you have like a particular flavor of vampire you were hoping to build out?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I know, I'm putting you on the spot right away.
I haven't made my own vampire yet.
Okay.
In this game.
All right.
But I've been debating between two kind of concepts.
Hit me with them.
So the first one is one that's like really charismatic and extremely intimidating.
Okay.
Kind of has like a super basic outline of their personality. And then another vampire that really values respect, like on a really high level, for both getting respect and also respect. Hold on, how do I say that?
You want to be a boss bitch?
Yes, basically.
Yeah, a boss bitch. Okay.
That sounds right.
So are you the type of person who's going to try and talk your way through a difficult situation, or do you want to punch your way through your problems?
I would say talk.
Be honest here. We're all friends.
I would say talk.
You'd say talk. Okay, cool. That already gives us a little bit of a direction here. So our concept for this character is a boss bitch. We love a boss bitch. Perfect. We like that. So that's kind of the concept that we're going to be building the character around. Now, there are a lot of different ways that we can kind of get there that we'll go through a bit later. But that's the thing we should be thinking about as we go through everything else here. Kind of a boss bitch who wants to talk her way through shit and have respect of those around her, it sounds. Cool. Clan and sire. So your clan is going to kind of be the meat and potatoes of what your vampire is. It's going to determine a lot about what kind of powers they're able to use. It's going to determine a lot about, the clan bane is going to be the thing that drives your character absolutely wild and can send you into a frenzy at any point in time. But it also talks a little bit about, what that clan values. If you look at something like a Toreador, they value beauty and perfection. If you look at something like a Ventru, for example, they're going to value success and power. Power is the big thing there. So I know you've kind of gotten a cursory look at a lot of the clans here. Is there anything that really kind of stuck out to you as being right up your alley, a little more fun?
You know, honestly, I feel like I'm still learning a lot about the clans.
Which is A-okay. That's perfectly fine. So, Not only does the World of Darkness have a really cool, like, what clan are you quiz up on their website that you can take.
Yeah,
I got
I took that
Hekata, which is pretty on brand. But also just the clans themselves have a lot of defining characteristics about them. So if we look through the book here, when we're talking about a boss bitch, I'm actually going to flip through each one so that you guys can see the beautiful artwork on the inside. First clan option here is going to be the Bruja. They are the anarchists, the sort of rebellious radicals within the vampire, within kindred society. I don't really think that fits our sort of meta of a boss bitch. Bruja are probably the ones who are going to punch their problems, not talk to them. So I don't really think that's what we're leaning towards here. Does that sound right?
I would agree.
Okay. Then we've got the Gangrels, who are a personal favorite of mine. You guys met Fiasco, the Allagangrel, in season 1. I think this clan has lots of really cool abilities, so I love it a lot. But Gangrel is the clan of the beast, so they have a lot of feral characteristics, I suppose you could put it, and can actually shift into animals with certain discipline levels. But again, probably a little more martial than boss bitch in terms of how they're going to approach things. The next one that we're going to be looking at, I believe, is going to be the Nosferatu. Oh no, the Malkavians. So Malkavians are almost a trepidatious clan in a way. There's a right and a wrong way to do a Malkavian, and basically the whole thing is that they have a sight beyond sight. So they can understand and really kind of pierce the veil and see more than a typical kindred might be able to see, be that in the form of premonitions, or maybe they just get different auras from people. And in sometimes they just straight up can talk to things that aren't there. So probably not going to command the respect the way we really want this character to upon a first impression. I'm guessing that you want this boss bitch vampire to just be like terrifying upon introduction.
Yep, I want her to walk into the room and everyone immediately just kind of feels that presence.
I love that. So I don't think we're going to go Malkavian. I think we all know where we're going to end up here, but I'm going to go through the rest of the clans anyway because it's fun. So the Nosferatu are next. They are the tender-hearted vampires, ugly on the outside, soft and nougaty on the inside. Again, not really that boss bitch type, but again, guys, you could play any of these characters any way you wanted. I'm just merely going along with what is the traditional clan outlook here. Nosferatu value information very highly, so a lot of times they're going to be the go-to folks to figure out what's going on in a city or discover the culprit of a crime or something like that, but not sitting at the head of a boardroom table.
Makes sense.
The Toreadors. So the Toreadors are going to be every vampire from a 90s movie, really. They're the sexy, beguiling vampires. Again, they value beauty and perfection. Divas. Absolute divas. If you guys remember in season 1 of The Nightlife, there was a moment in the sewers where Luvi was having a lot of trouble containing himself. It's because he was surrounded by ugliness, and that's just not something they dig. They do have a lot of that presence that you've kind of been talking about, but maybe in a different way.
Right.
Do you want to go Toreador, or you want to hold out?
Let's hold out, but keep that one like tabbed.
Okay. All right. The Tremere. Tremere are, to me, the most intimidating clan of vampires. There's so much that they can do. They can do literal magics that other kindred don't know or understand, which is just wild bonkers to me. The Tremere are, they've got big warlock energy. They're very sort of mysterious in a way. They use a lot of blood sorcery, so they can actually pick up rituals and go through and pick up rituals like creating wards. You guys saw Raina do that several times in season 1, and she's picked up some really cool rituals for season 2. But I don't know that that's necessarily what we want from this boss bitch, unless you want her to be a boss witch.
Again, I think maybe possibility.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll put that one near the top. Put that one near the top. This is the one I think that probably tailors to your idea the best, the Ventru. You know, there have been some pretty top-notch Ventru creations out there in the universe, from Victor to Carmina now, to the newly introduced Lucian. So there's a lot of options there, but they are the kings, the blue bloods. They are the ones at the head of that boardroom. They are the ones commanding attention in all the important meetings and making all the important decisions, both in the public eye and out. They can literally change people's minds just by telling them to. And they have a lot of that presence you were talking about. How do we feel about Ventru?
That one sounds like a pretty good possibility.
Okay. And then you're going to have other options. The Caitiff. I don't think that's where we're going to lie here. They're kind of clanless, so they can pick up disciplines all over the place. But they aren't... they certainly aren't going to be the bosses in the vampire world, unless we create like a truly spectacular Caitiff here. And then, of course, you have options like the Le Sombra, who are lots and lots of fun to play. They're kind of the spooky ones inside of the vampire world. You have Hakata, you have Ministry, you have some other options that aren't in the main book here, and you can find them in additional products sold on renegadegames.com. But I think Ventru kind of fits what we're looking for pretty closely.
I think I agree.
Okay.
And thank you so much for the easy lowdown of what all the clan options are.
I mean, I'm not sure I did it right. I'm sure someone in chat is going to tell me I fucked it up, but those are just kind of my vibes. And again, the nice thing about the way that you build your vampire is that if we get through this process and we end up down in the disciplines where we're choosing those skills and you're like, ooh, you know, this one animalism skill really fits what I was thinking for this character, you can just go and buy outside of your discipline with experience points. There's nothing against that. So, you know, you can have a Toreador who has certain maybe obfuscate powers. They like to look at the pretty things, but they don't like to be perceived. I don't know. You can build this out however you want, but for the sake of this character, we're going to create a clan Ventru vampire. For right now, we're going to go ahead and leave the chronicle, or the name and the sire blank. Our chronicle is going to, of course, be the Nightlife. Learn to type, Diana.
Typing is hard.
I know. It's been a day. It's been a day. So we've got our clan and sire. So next we get to move on to attributes. So whenever you're sitting in a vampire game, a lot of times you're going to hear the storyteller roll wits and awareness. The attributes are going to be the kind of main pillars of what your character is good at, and then the skills are sort of going to whittle that down and give you very specific things that you're like, ah, yes, I'm an excellent crafter but a terrible driver, that kind of thing. So when we're going through our attributes, you get to take one attribute at 4, 3 attributes at 3, 4 attributes at 2, 1 attribute at 1. I always start out with the 1 attribute at 1. So when we're looking at this character, Katie, what are they not good at in this list of attributes?
I'm going to say stamina.
Stamina? Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. What are they best at?
Best at... I'm going to say wits.
Wits? Okay. Mm-hmm. That's good. Awareness, knowing what's around you, knowing what's going on at any given time. That's good. What other things are they good at? So let's do those 3 attributes at 3.
I'm going between charisma and manipulation.
So you get 3 of them. So we can do both charisma and manipulation at 3. And then 1 more attribute at that level.
So like an additional one to those 2? Or am I picking those 2?
You get a 3rd attribute at 3 dots.
I'm going to say dexterity.
Okay. And then we have 4 attributes at 2, which is going to cover what's left. So our stealth our strength rather is at 2, composure at 2, resolve at 2, intelligence at 2. So if you're looking at your sheet here and you look just below the attributes, you're going to see your health and your willpower. See how willpower changed whenever I went in and did stuff in resolve? Mm-hmm. That's because that's how it's calculated. Oh. So you don't have a ton of willpower here. You don't have a ton of health. So let's try not to get hit. Let's just do our best, okay?
Make our absolute best effort.
Our absolute best effort. Poor squishy vampire. All right. Next, we get to do our skills. So there's a lot of fun stuff and some neat tailoring that you can kind of do in the skills section. There are a couple of different ways to sort of divvy up those items. Mm-hmm. You can be a jack of all trades, which means that you're going to have 1 skill at 3, 8 skills at 2, and then 10 skills at 1. You can be balanced. You can have 3 skills at 3, 5 skills at 2, and 7 skills at 1. Or what I always end up doing, because I'm kind of a Leroy Jenkins style player, is I go specialist. So I have 1 skill at 4 dots, 3 skills at 3 dots, 3 skills at 2 dots, and 3 skills at 1 dot. And so there's a bunch of stuff that's just sort of blank.
I think that's what I would also want to do.
Okay. Where do you think that 1 skill at 4 should go?
Intimidation.
All right. Woman after my own heart. I love it. 3 skills at 3.
Let's do awareness.
Okay. See, she's heard me call wits and awareness like 1,000 times in the game, so she's metagaming right now.
Let's do performance.
Okay. And 1 more.
And stealth.
And stealth. Okay. Got our 3 skills at 3. Now we need 3 skills at 2.
Let's do firearms.
Okay. This is a mob boss character. That's what you're making right now.
Maybe. Persuasion?
Persuasion sounds good. 1 more.
Oh, I have another.
Yep.
Let's do insight.
Insight. Okay. Cool. And then we have 3 skills at 1 dot.
I'm going to do etiquette.
Okay.
Athletics. And survival.
Okay. And dear viewer, if you ever wonder what situations these skills might pertain to, there's a whole breakdown in the book about what is the difference between brawl and melee and when do those situations apply and how good are you at the thing at every different dot level. So if you want to be able to drag race or something like that, you could go check in the book and see exactly how many dots in drive you have to star in a Fast and Furious movie. I do think it's interesting and worth pointing out, though. So the character concept that we're going with is very charismatic. They talk their way through things. And if you look very closely, the majority of our dots kind of sit right here in the middle in the social attributes and skills, which makes perfect sense for what we're making. If you're ever wondering if you've kind of followed the right path as far as distributing those skill points and those attribute points, that's a good way to designate it. If you just want a character that's going to go through and punch anything that disagrees with them, you're going to have a lot of stuff over here. If you have a character that wants to actually solve stuff and work their way through problems logically, or outwit the opponent, you're going to put a lot of stuff over here in the mental skills and attributes. Wonderful. Excellent. So with our skills here in Vampire, you get free specialties in academics, craft, performance, and science skills. So if you go through each of the skills in the book, there's a little section at the tail end on every skill where it lists some specialties for that particular skill set. I am also a big fan of this might be a homebrew rule, but I feel like I've seen other people do it, where you make up your own skill. Maybe you have a vampire that is just an exceptional knitter. Maybe that's what they do. Maybe you have a kindred who is a spectacular performer, but only at karaoke. I think that those kinds of little specialties can add so much flavor to the way that you play a character, that it's just a fun little spice to add in. So if we're looking at this with academics, craft, performance, and science, we're going to go through it because we care about you guys. I just want you to know that. We're going to do it. Click all over the place in this sheet. All right, academics. Academic specialties are listed on page 168. So the specialties that the book lists are architecture, English literature, history of art, history of a specific field or period, journalism, philosophy, research, teaching, theology. Any of those strike a chord?
I don't think so.
Okay. What do you think your specialty is in academics?
You know, I'm going to scratch that. I'm going to say it's English literature.
English literature? Okay. All right. I dig it. So there's no spot right here to write down English literature on Roll20. Sorry, guys. So you're going to want to make sure you take those notes elsewhere. You can put it in the bio and info up here, or down with your attributes or abilities as well, just so that you know it's there. So the reason why, dear viewer, you might ask, why is it important for me to choose a specialty in academics? This vampire doesn't even have any dots in academics. Well, that's exactly why it's important. If we're in a situation where we're, going covert in a library, trying to uncover some information about the dean of the school or something like that, and the English lit professor just happens to be there doing research as well, this might be a situation in which that specialty in English literature allows you to persuade that person to talk to you a lot easier than if you didn't have that on your sheet. So mechanically, what that might do in certain situations, those specialties can add to your dice pool. It can lower the difficulty of specific rolls. There's a lot mechanically it can do for you. So don't forget the specialties. I know it seems like an extra bonus thing and you got to dig for them sometimes, but it's absolutely worth it if you're playing a game. Next, we get to look at our disciplines. So the disciplines are going to be the things that give your vampire their abilities. The disciplines are split up in a couple different categories that kind of define how those abilities are used. So for the Ventrue, we are looking at the disciplines of Dominate, Fortitude, and Presence. So on this sheet, we're going to go ahead and just add those things in. We've got dominate. Told you guys you're going to have to forgive my typing. We've got dominate. No, what you doing? What are you doing here? Roll 20. Come on. Come on. All right, there we go. We've got dominate, fortitude. Guys, I am not a technical person, so bear with me here. And presence. So each of these powers is going to behave differently, but the nice thing is that each clan actually gives you a nice little breakdown of how those disciplines fit into the overall feeling of a Ventrue or a Toreador or whatever you're playing. So for Dominate, the Ventrue consider themselves the masters of this discipline, using it primarily to exert their will on vassals and kine, which it's control. Makes perfect sense. Fortitude enables the Ventrue to keep their thrones even when armies array against them. So remember how we talked about you being a super squishy vampire? Mm-hmm. Fortitude is a good choice for you because it means that you're going to be able to take punches and get back up. And lastly, presence. So literal presence. This is exactly what we talked about with this character. The Ventrue seek to tame the court and build the love and devotion of others towards their rule, and presence is a helpful tool. With presence, you can send people into awe, you can send people into fear. There's a lot that you can do with that discipline. So, the kind of frustrating part for a fledgling kindred is the fact that with these 3 disciplines in mind, you choose one of them, you put 2 dots in it, and you choose a second one and put 1 dot in it. And you do nothing with the third one right away.
Gotcha.
So between presence, fortitude, and dominate, which one sounds most important to your vampire?
I think I would say presence.
Presence? All right. Mm-hmm. So we'll give ourselves 2 dots in presence. And then between dominate and fortitude, which one sounds more important?
I think probably, especially from your advice, I think fortitude.
Good. You'll last longer that way. It's worth noting that for caitiff characters, you choose any disciplines. So that is a benefit to playing caitiff. You're unclanned. So you can kind of go through and pick and choose whatever you want to create. Actually, I think as a brand new vampire player, going caitiff is probably a really good choice. It means you get to try out a bunch of stuff. There are some drawbacks, but I think it's kind of neat. And then for thin-blooded characters, there are no intrinsic disciplines. It's another kind of pick and choose your abilities sort of thing. We're going to come back and actually spend some time picking out our discipline abilities here. But for now, we're going to jump ahead to page 175 and pick our predator type. Because the predator type is going to give you additional abilities as well. Predator type is going to be how you choose to feed. So it should come as no surprise that different vampires feed in different ways. We have at our disposal the alley cat who assaults their victim. We have the beggar who, it's exactly like it sounds. They kind of steal blood whenever they can get it. Relying on non-living, breathing sources for that feeding. The blood leech can only drink from other vampires, which creates a lot of fun in game.
I was gonna say, I think that's the one of mine.
Really?
Yes.
Damn, guys, Katie's so fucking brave. All right, then we are going to go through the rest. You guys can read them on your own. She's so sure about this. I love it. All right, so our predator type here is the blood leech. So with that predator type, you do get some benefits mechanically in game. So you get to add a specialty in brawl. which again, there's no spot for me to type it in on this sheet, but you're going to be way better at overpowering things that are every bit as strong as you in order to feed. So you have a specialty in brawl against kindred or stealth against kindred. So it's one or the other there.
I'm going to
Go ahead.
I was going to say probably brawl to have something in there. Or I can just be like really overpowered still.
I mean, if they don't see it coming,
that's what I'm thinking. I wonder if I'm going to focus on sneak attacks since I don't have a lot.
Man, this is a really shitty kindred. Just like right now, I'm just like, man, I would fucking kill this thing in game. Giselle's going to hate them. It's going to be wonderful. I can't wait.
Yeah, let's do stealth then.
Okay. So then I'm all about it. So normally we would go back into the book, find the stealth skill, and go through. And actually, you know what? I want to know. I want to know what the stealth specialties are. I don't know that I've ever read through them before because I'm not brave enough to play a blood leech. So everybody sit tight for a second. This is one of those times where I feel like I should have the digital PDF pulled up so that I can search, but also I like flipping through actual books. So.
I am definitely the same.
Yeah. All right. Craft, brawl, firearms, larceny, melee, stealth. All right. Our specialties for stealth: ambushes, crowds. Boy, that would be a mess. Disguise, hiding, shadowing, silent movement, urban, or wilderness.
Say them one more time.
Yeah. Ambushes.
Ambush.
Ambush?
Mm-hmm.
Damn, y'all. Okay. All right. Cool. And again, you would either put that in your attributes and abilities or bio and info so that you can keep track of it. Or just print this out and write it in. Like that's also an option too. No one's telling you to do otherwise. Wonderful. And then of course I lost the page that I needed to have. I got so distracted and excited by this fucking terrible vampire we made. All right, so we've got our specialty in stealth. You also gain a dot, so another discipline in either celerity or protean. So celerity is going to be your reaction time. You're going to be able to move super fast. Protean has a lot of real cool abilities in there. I'm going to read the description because I want to make sure that I say it right. So it's the shapeshifters. So they're literally called, it's morphing, it's shapeshifting, it's mutato.
I mean, that sounds pretty ideal, honestly.
It has some, I think it has one of the best level 1 abilities too, from both a narrative and a play style perspective. I really love Eyes of the Beast because it is exactly what it sounds like. And if you're in a group and you're trying to scare the shit out of people, that's a good way to do it. So Perfect. Let's go down here. We're going to add a dot in protean. Excellent. You lose a dot of humanity right out of the gate for being a blood leech. Yeah, it was never that important anyway. It's fine. Except that I literally cannot remove it from here. Okay, there we go. Don't mind me not knowing what I'm doing on Roll20. I promise I'm learning. And then we get to increase our blood potency by 1, which is pretty rad. So blood potency has a lot of in-game functions. But it'll help you a lot when you're, doing stuff like diablerizing or blood bonding or making yourself some ghouls. You know, there's a lot of benefits in there. And of course, you gain the dark secret flaw because you eat other vampires. And strictly speaking, that's not super endorsed. So you can have dark secret for Diablerist, obviously, or you can be shunned. Your choice between the two.
Maybe Diablerist? That sounds neat.
Yeah, this is so good. This fits in perfectly with what this character is going to be doing. Wonderful. And then we gain the feeding flaw, prey exclusion, because you can only feed off of vampires. All right. So we've got our predator type. We've done everything there. Now we get to do I don't know. I keep saying everything's my favorite part, but I really like doing advantages and flaws. Again, it's a fun way to add some sort of depth to your character. Mm-hmm. There's a lot that you can do there to sort of tailor them to whatever vision you had in mind. So all right. Advantages come in two different kinds. You have your merits, and then you've got your backgrounds. So backgrounds are going to give you things like allies, people you can call to get things done. Your merits are actually just kind of like who you are. So if you're super hot, there's a merit for that. And then flaws are what we've been doing. So when we're building our vampire, of course I lost the page, we get 7 points in advantages and 2 points in flaws, in addition to the ones gained by your predator type. So you're going to be super duper flawed, but like nobody's nerfect. It's fine. We still love you anyway. So looking through the merits, like I said, you can kind of make your vampires super hot on the sheet so that no one can tell you they're not. You can go through and make them unbondable, which is kind of cool. It gives them a leg up when they're negotiating with other kindred. You have options like Iron Gullet is one that I've taken historically because it's kind of cool. You can kind of eat whatever you need to, but I think with our flaw of prey exclusion, that's not really going to work for this character.
Not.
Do any of those look good to you?
I liked was it the second one you said?
The Unbondable?
Yes.
I knew you'd like that one. So that is expensive. It's 5 dots, but okay. I think it's worth it for this character.
I agree.
So we are going to be unbondable. And if you wanted to, you could go through and, you could put it in the description. Ta-da. All right, so that's 5. So we've got 2 more dots that we could spend here. I'm going to recommend that we take a look at some of the backgrounds because I think those things are going to be really helpful for you too. Mm-hmm. So allies and enemies. Allies are going to be mortals who can help you out. Contacts are, again, people who can help you get specific things or have an expertise. You could be famous. We already have the dark secret flaw. Influence is kind of a fun one too. So you have pull in the mortal community, whether through wealth, prestige, political office, blackmail, or supernatural manipulation. You own people, essentially. And then we've got a haven. is also a beneficial thing. It's a safe place for you as a kindred. You know, you can't be out in the daylight. It's going to keep you protected. And then we've got, you know, and the book is really good about giving you a bunch of different suggestions for what that haven is, rather than just it's an apartment, or it's my townhouse or something like that. Right. Things like a library or a lab or something. And then, I don't think that you can use this one, but the herd is pretty cool too. It means that you've created kind of a little fleet of vessels that you can feed from without really worrying too much about it. I don't really see that as possible for a Diablerist, but you know, you do you, girlfriend.
I think I'm actually leaning towards either allies or was it influence?
So influence is you having pull in the mortal world.
Right.
Allies are going to be, let's see, at 2 dots, we would be able to get an average mortal or a tight-knit group of weak mortals, neighborhood kids or something like that, to come and help you out. Or contacts is the other one that's useful there. 2 dots in contacts gives you 1 contact who can do or get something useful for you. So allies are literally people who are going to come to your aid. Contacts are a little more broad in that they can get you information that you need or get you to a place that you need. But it's kind of like a one and done thing. It's a more formal arrangement.
Gotcha. Let's go with allies.
Allies? Mm-hmm. All right. So we'll take 2 dots in allies. Cool. Now we need 2 more dots in flaws. There are a lot of great flaws. There's one of my favorites is folkloric bane, which means that all of the stuff from old vampire movies that you see, the garlic, the crucifix, the running water, the threshold thing, those can come into play for your vampire if you take the flaw folkloric bane. There's things like illiteracy. Let's see, we've talked about being shunned a little bit. There's resources. So resources is going to be how much cash you have on hand to handle things. You can take 3 dots as an advantage so that you're wealthy, or you can take 1 dot as a flaw and just be destitute. Not what I think we should really do for this character, but fun for a different one, perhaps. The flaw that I like most, and I think could be a lot of fun for this character, is mask. So a 2-dot flaw called known blank body. So your biometrics, your name, your history, everything about you in life is flagged as a potential terrorist. So somebody in the Second Inquisition knows who you are and they are looking for you. It creates a lot of really good possibilities for antagonists to show up. It creates a lot of tension for your character and that sense of urgency that's going to help you drive a story along. But please feel free to look through if there's anything else that sticks out to you.
I think that sounds perfect, honestly.
Cool. See how I'm subtly manipulating her? All according to plan. All right, known blank body. Wonderful. So we took 2 dots for that one, which covers our flaws, which means our next step is convictions and touchstones. So I find that in a lot of the games I've played in, this is the piece that gets glossed over a lot, but it's very important to making character decisions. So if you go to page 172, 173 in your book, going to find your beliefs and touchstones. and your convictions over there. So beliefs are going to kind of help you make decisions in the moment. You can take convictions and things like thou shalt not kill. You can only kill the unworthy. It's kind of going to help you put together the moral code that your kindred lives by. Because even though you're a monster, remember, you're still struggling to hold on to that humanity. So having that code is going to be really important to you. There's a whole list of convictions there that you can take. Let's go over here.
There's so many.
There's a ton. You can even be Robin Hood. Rob from the rich, give to the poor. And again, these are just guidelines. If you find something really fits your character, but it's not written in the book, just talk it over with your storyteller. I'm sure that it can fit.
I feel like I already zeroed in on none may control me.
Okay, that fits. I keep smiling and getting really excited because I know who this character is and I know what role they play. You guys watching are going to have the opportunity to kind of see them come out and you'll be like, wait, is that? And you'll know exactly how badly our coterie is fucked. All right, so we've got the conviction of none may control me. Wonderful. You're welcome to take more than that, but I think that's a pretty good start there. Touchstones. Touchstones are, again, really important for your kindred because it's their connection to the mortal world. It is their tether to humanity. So it's going to be a mortal that means something to you. And there are a lot of different ways that that mortal can be meaningful, especially if you're like a 300-year-old vampire and everyone who you knew when you were alive is long dead. So it could be a descendant of someone who either you loved or someone you hated. It could be someone who reminds you of a former lover. In one kindred's case, it's the bartender who can make a drink that's just like she had when she was a kid. Like, there's a lot that could be used to create a touchstone. So this vampire, do they have any connections in the mortal world? Who would it be?
I want to say it's some type of security guard.
Okay.
That maybe they interacted with in their living life.
Okay. Do they have a name, this security guard?
We'll call them Leo.
Leo the security guard. And why is Leo important to you?
I would say maybe when she was alive and dabbling in the not so great things maybe she was doing in her free time, and she came across the security guard and maybe they protected her.
All right, I like that. That's wonderful. The clan bane, which is right over here on your character sheet, is going to be, again, at the tail end of the chapter about your vampires. So, I know we're skipping around a little bit here, but I want to type it in before I forget. That's Toreador. That's not what we want. Blah, Toreadors. Blah. All right. The Bane for Clan Ventru. Ventru are in possession of rarefied palates. When a Ventru drinks blood from any mortal outside their preference, a profound exertion of will is required, or the blood taken surges back up as scarlet vomit. You a picky bitch. Which we already knew, but now it's so much worse. So, with a resolve plus awareness test, difficulty 4 or more, your character can sense if a mortal possesses the blood they require. So, not a mortal in your case, but that's the Bane. You got to make sure that those vampires are like cage-free, organic vampires in order to satisfy you.
Makes sense.
Yeah. All right. So, figured out our touchstones. Let's go ahead and do our desire while we're here too. Our desire and ambition, because that's going to be directionally what'll kind of lead your character forward. So desires are going to be your more short-term ambitions. It'll kind of be a goal. Like if my goal is to lose 30 pounds by Gen Con or something like that, that's a goal. It doesn't reflect a lifelong desire, which is to conquer the known universe, but it's still something that's going to take more than a day. Typically, mechanically in sessions, you can go through and choose a different desire every session. That way your storyteller can reward you if you made progress towards that desire. So short term, this character, what do they want?
Off the top of my head, I'm thinking maybe really the only thing on her mind is just scouting out potential vampires to feed.
Okay. Finding a snack.
I like snacks.
Finding a suitable snack. Which, normally as a storyteller, I would look at that and go, no, that's too simple. But we have established that this character is hard to please. So I think that's perfectly acceptable as a desire in this case, especially if you're looking for a snack that you can go to several times, or maybe a group of snacks that would satisfy you for a while, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then your ambition is going to be your overall goal, your mission in the unlife. What do you want to accomplish? This is the one piece I'll probably change for this character.
I was going to say, nothing comes to mind.
Okay. So, do you mind if I just...
No, feel free. Because honestly, I'm only thinking, like, I just want this character to stalk prey and then kill or feed on vampires as a vampire.
That's cool. You know, it goes hand in hand with their ambition. So that's perfect. Great. All right. Now, we look at the whole thing of, well, this vampire isn't just a human, so they've been around a long time, so there's probably more going on there. For the sake of our story, our vampire is going to be 12th or 13th generation. So they're going to be pretty young, all things considered. We'll go ahead and make them 12th. Sure, let's say 12th generation, which means that we get an additional blood potency. Again, very important during gameplay. Wonderful. So that would put us in as a childer, so embraced within the last 15 years, which I think is perfectly appropriate for this story. As we talked about in season 1, in Miami, it's a constantly changing landscape. People come and go a lot. It's a party town. So the fact that really anyone would hang around there super long is surprising. The fact that Maceo hung out was ridiculous, bonkers. And we're going to meet some other older vampires this season that probably wish they'd gotten out. We'll put it that way. And then the handiest part of this particular sheet, I find, is the experience. So, as you sit and play, your storyteller is going to award you experience for any number of things. It could be your first embrace, your first diablerie, taking down a particularly unruly group of anarchs that had been causing trouble in the city, wiping out a second Inquisition operation that had set up camp right on your doorstep, that kind of thing. Your ST is going to be able to go through and give you some XP for those things. And you can use that XP to improve or change anything on this sheet, basically. The things that are going to be set in stone are the things in the big boxes right up here on top, like your name and your clan. That's harder to change. But you could go through and do things like increase your attributes, which is always going to be helpful because there's one of those in every role. You can go through and increase skills. So especially for this vampire who has a bunch of empty skills, like it might be cool to have a dot in science. Maybe you pick up a set of test tubes on your way home. You learn how to do some science. You can pick up a new specialty. Again, those come in handy during gameplay. You can choose a new clan discipline. So if you go through and you're like, I really want this other ability in dominate or whatever, you can go ahead and give yourself an extra dot that way. But basically, you can change anything on this sheet to make it more the vampire you envisioned at the beginning. The finishing touch is kind of the funnest part. The most fun part. Everyone leave me alone. It's going through your disciplines and actually choosing the abilities that you want. So if we start off with fortitude here, you got options. Fortitude. All right. So we've only got one dot in fortitude, but that still gives us two possible abilities that we could take here. We have the option of resilience. So endowed with supernatural endurance, the user can strengthen their physical resolve, which would be great for you because it allows you to add your fortitude rating to your health track. And even though that's just another dot, that's one more time you can get hit before you meet final death. So it doesn't suck. The other option, which I actually think you're going to like more, is unswayable mind. So the user gains a mystical ability to resist any attempts to sway them through mundane charms, coercion, and wiles. Some exhibit unswayable mind as zen-like calm, others as supernatural stubbornness.
Yeah, I think that's...
Is that the one you like? All right. So our power name is unswayable mind. And you have the opportunity to go through and do some editing here, so you can actually insert the text from like the mechanical text of how that ability works, how long it lasts, what you have to pay to get it, that kind of stuff. You can go ahead and add that to your sheet as well. Additionally, so we've got some presents, which is super fun. All right. Now, presents, we have 2 dots, which is going to give us 2 powers at the end of the day, but we have more options with 2 dots. So, we have awe, which is exactly what it sounds like. Anyone in the presence of the vampire finds their attention inexplicably drawn to them. And kind of conversely, daunt. Anyone who looks at you is going to be scared and repelled. There's also at level 2, you've got the option of lingering kiss. So the kiss of a vampire induces near ecstasy in the victim, but this power leaves other kisses in the dust. Victims fed upon by the user become addicted to the kiss, obsessing over it, and even seeking the vampire out for repeated feedings. Mortals often become anemic, self-harm, or even die from this addiction, but vampires find it a useful power for cultivating a herd and empowering their favorite associates. Addicting other vampires is also possible, with the caveat that obsessed vampires demanding to be fed from quickly lead to the user becoming bloodbound. This is all kinds of fucked up, but I know you want it.
Yeah? This, as you were reading, I was like, yep, that's the one.
All right. So we're going to take lingering kiss, but we also have between awe and daunt. I'm guessing you want daunt.
Yeah.
Okay. Daunt.
Wow, I love this character already.
And lingering kiss. Man, I've never done lingering kiss on a vampire before. That's a trip. All right, and we got one more here to look at. We've got Protean. So both Protean abilities at level 1 are still really, really cool. So there's, I flipped the book the wrong way. All right, we have Eyes of the Beast, which is the one that I told you about. And then our other option is Weight of the Feather. So the vampire can reduce their effective mass and density, making themselves almost weightless. This allows them to avoid triggering pressure sensors as well as avoiding major damage from falls, collisions, or being thrown.
I have to go with Eyes of the Beast. The other one tempted me for a moment, but...
I know. The good news is that we'll give you some experience, and you can just go buy Eyes of the Beast, or Weight of the Feather. All right. Of course, you can go through and there's lots and lots of things to fill in here to make it make more sense. You know, if you care about things like breaking the Masquerade, you can put in the Masquerade threat for all of your different disciplines. I say you only live forever, so fuck the Masquerade. And this character will too. So that's it. We've got a fully functional vampire here. Are we air fiving?
Yeah.
It's 1,
I don't know.
2, there we go. Okay, we did it. It's, we're great. So yeah, thank you guys for following along with this. I know it was kind of a slog, but we're hopeful that this tool and kind of seeing us struggle through it is going to be helpful for you all as you go through and try and build out your first vampires. There's tons of great tools out there. Outstar did a great walkthrough and did it far more articulately than I did. But the fun thing for you guys is that you're going to see this character actually come onto the Nightlife, and you'll know exactly what they're capable of doing, which is a lot of damage to other vampires, which is wholesome.
It'll be beautiful.
Katie, I want to thank you for kind of struggling through this live on a stream. I know that's a big thing. It's not insignificant, so thank you so much.
Thank you for walking me through it. This is my first vampire character, and this was a lot of fun to do. And I have a much better idea of how to create a character now.
It's a lot of flipping back and forth in the book just to find the right stuff, but it's super helpful, and you can really make anything you want. That's the really nice thing about it. So you guys are going to get to see probably not this character next week on the Nightlife, but you'll definitely see them post Gen Con. They'll be coming onto the stream. So we hope to see you next week on the 27th. It's going to be a super exciting episode. And then we'll see you after Gen Con.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.